Like, so marketing is a perfect blend of a lot of things, and it's death by 1,000 cuts or success by 1,000 cuts. Any marketer who runs to you and says like, hey man, I have the perfect recipe, without actually analyzing your business and going into your market, it's just smoke and mirrors. People are not being aggressive enough to actually own the minds of their community. And that's I think the biggest problem. There's a reason why you remember the Super Bowl ads, but you don't remember anything else. The business that has been in a community for 10 years versus the business that's been in a community for 2 years are in very different spots within their neighborhood, and I cannot help push them forward with the same marketing methodology. Narrow it down. Get hyper-focused. If your business is smaller, you don't need the entire customer base. You don't need the entire town. You need a section of the town.
Think about it and just stick with it. Never give up. You can't give up.
I can get lost in looking at Excel spreadsheets.
Even if you're laying pipe, change of clothes is definitely one of the things.
I know people find that weird.
But there's always a massive fucking dildo in every fucked up house. Always.
This dude would be a great fucking worker, dude.
Are you doing this for money or are you doing this for your schedule?
There you go. Boom.
That's not a bad idea, man. That's not a bad idea.
Also know that this is what I want to do forever.
I might as well just jump off the roof of the plane. We are back. The Build Device Podcast, building the next generation of trades. On this week's episode, we have the owner, we have the founder, we have the creator of Mammoth Marketing, Mr. Tyler Williams is in the building, ladies and gentlemen. Tyler, welcome, buddy.
Thank you.
Great to have you on. Yeah, one clap. There we go, Alex. So, Tyler, walk us through, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into your journey, pretty much. Because I know that, you did something with car windshields, and then you become a videographer, and now you're the owner of possibly one of the most successful marketing agencies in the country. Right now.
Well, I don't know. I'm not keeping that much track. You are, though. I'll take it. I own a marketing agency, but I essentially how I ended up here at this very doorstep is in high school I always made videos. Because I knew that if I made a video for a project, I was almost guaranteed an A, because the teachers don't know how to grade videos. So I got smart about it. But I loved video production. I loved movies. And so when I graduated high school, I was ripping windshields out of cars, replacing them. That was my job. And I was like, I don't want to do this. There's too many glass cuts. And it was like, all right, let's figure out what to do. And actually the manager at the time was like, you like making videos, you should just go work in advertising. And he knew an advertising agency owner. So I went and talked to him, and he was like, wow, yeah, here's an interesting guy. And so I kind of had that bug. And then oddly, pure chance, a friend of mine got a job offer at another advertising agency in town. And he was like, I don't want it, but I know a guy who would love this opportunity. And so they pointed me. I took the job at a massive pay cut, but that got me into advertising, right? So my whole goal when I first started was I want to make the best TV ads in Fairbanks, Alaska. Big dreams. And then I got there after a while, and I started freelancing for other businesses and other agencies. Eventually, one of those agencies was like, my videographer's leaving, and one of my biggest clients had folded, and it happened to also be my wife's employer at the time. We got back from a honeymoon, and they were like, well, you were gone. We decided to fold. And we were like, well, crap, there goes all of our money. And so he happened to have a job, and I was like, sweet, I'll do it. And then worked for him for 8 years full time with all the client base. And it was the biggest agency in town. And then after 8 years, I bought it out from him because he wanted to retire. And I had just had kids at that point. And I was like, I do not want to retire. I have children. And so then about 5 years into that, finished paying him off and was a little aimless. And my brother in this journey had also grown a plumbing company. And he came to me and was like, can you handle the marketing? And so we did. And the plumbing company, it's still going today. And it's like a $6 million company in the middle of Alaska. And that work went really well. And so when it came down, I joined a coaching group, and they were like, you should pick a lane. And I was like, that makes a lot of sense. So I did. And so I went after plumbers. And then 4 years later.
Why specifically plumbers?
I had my brother. Right?
I know your brother, but was there something else with it?
I mean,
Like something else tickling your pickle.
The,
You know what I mean?
the tickling of the pickling was definitely the fact that it was a business model by which I could understand easily. Like I had no interest to do e-commerce, right, or retail. Within service-based industries, there's a lot of room on a creative aspect to really tune your message around core offerings, right? And so that lent a lot of the creativity that I really love about advertising into like the agency and the way that I build the agency and the way that we try and offer things. It really became a slow narrowing. Like it was like, we'll do Alaska businesses. Now we'll only do businesses that are service-based businesses. Now we'll only do home services. Now we'll only do plumbers.
Field Pulse is the field service management software for field service pros like you. Whether you're a small business looking to grow or a large company ready to scale, it's got everything you need all in one platform. Advanced features for CRM, estimates and invoices, scheduling and dispatching, good, better, best proposals, maintenance plans, and price booking. Plus, Field Pulse integrates with software you're already using, like QuickBooks Online and Desktop, so you can hit the ground running without changing everything about how you work. By simplifying your day-to-day operations, Field Pulse saves you time, keeps your team organized, and gives you the tool to increase productivity and profitability. It's not just us saying this. Field Pulse has earned an average 4.8 star rating across nearly 600 reviews. To learn more, head over to fieldpulse.com. That's field, P-U-L-S-E, pulse.com.
As we got narrower and narrower, we realized we're better at the job, and we are also more capable of like scaling ourselves, because now we can serve a plumber anywhere, right? So plumbers, it was also really easy for me to go and talk to my brother if I had a question about the industry, which there's a little bit of fallacy in that. Like marketers sometimes will be like, I got to be an expert in plumbing. And it turns out, no, I don't. I have to be an expert in what my wife and my mom want out of a plumber. That's what I have to be an expert in. So, so eventually it became, well, Jared really helped me. That's my brother. He was like a quick reference if I needed it for like, hey, what are people talking about? What matters to you from the business model standpoint? And then I was able to build agency services to kind of meet with that.
So you're from from Alaska.
That's why I'm so pale.
Wow, born and raised.
There's no sunshine.
I don't know, but the shades are telling me otherwise. You know, you got them nice ass shades on. You know,
So
are those like blue lights?
These
Is that what it is?
started out as blue light blockers, right? So I picked up these glasses for blue light blocking, and then they don't block for shit. Like it doesn't do much. Like I still had the headaches at the end and whatnot. But I was like, you know what? These, along with the fact that like I use orange as an accent color for the business anyway, we'll just keep rolling with it.
So it's just an identity
Pretty
for your
much.
brand.
Like
pretty much.
I think one of the biggest things that people don't do is that people aren't loud enough with their own branding. And I was like, okay, well, I can do this much. So that's part of it.
Is that like a key thing though for like any sort of business? Like when you're building your plumbing business, right, or like whatever business you're in, building your personal brand on the side. That way, people can understand who you are and what you actually do on besides other than plumbing or whatever trade. Is that like kind of like a key tactic?
One of the biggest things for me is people need to have courage with their advertising and with their branding. And one of the reasons why they don't pop out and one of the reasons why people don't want to seek them out is because they're boring. So I have two posters on either side of me. You probably can't see. Oh. Yeah,
I see the big mammoth one in the back. Yep. Your arms look dragged as fuck, like, dude.
Go big or go home, right? There's one over here that says never be boring. And there's another one over here that says always be bold. And those are the two dichotomies that people don't realize with their marketing is they think that, all I have to do is advertise. No, everyone advertises. How do you want to be remembered? Like the problem with digital marketing in my eyes these days, and I think it is course correcting, is people got freaking lazy. When you moved over to digital, it was easy because there wasn't a lot of people here. Now there's a lot of people here and now there's a lot of noise. So what are you going to do to stand out? Like you can't just sit there and say, hi, I'm a plumber. I offer drain cleaning services. No, you got to be like, hey, we're plumbers. And guess what? We're the only plumbers your mom loves to call. Right? Like have fun with it.
Yeah.
Like, and so I think that a lot of people feel like, all I have to do is be there. But you can be there and be just dull. So nobody wants to pay attention to you. But if you're there with a little bit of gusto, which takes courage, and to be perfectly frank, a lot of home services companies are scared to be courageous in their advertising because that's not their zone. I get it. And so, but when they do, like, they break the mold and you pop out of the noise, and then people, rather than going to Google looking for a plumber and basing you on reviews, they go to Google and they search for you. Big difference in that person's mental makeup. So people forgot about psychology.
Yeah, but like being a service-based company, right? Where you like, I know a very successful plumber. His name is he goes by Boston Plumber Monster. But his tagline is "Your sister's favorite plumber," but in Boston slang. He's a hit on Instagram, you know what I mean? And we actually had him on as a podcast guest not a little while ago. But I was always like, when I looked into like service based, I was always thinking like, you gotta be, make sure like no skeletons in the closet, nothing on your Instagram or social media that makes you look like bad, or like you have to watch what you say, But being your own identity, having your own brand, having the confidence and the courage of just doing what you want to do, I think that's like sort of like that line where it's like, okay, how much is too much, and where do I stop where people can still call me? Where you said it, where it's like you got to be like courageous, but also you got to have like, you got to be like outgoing. You have to be your own identity, where that means it's funny, or because everyone's doing the same thing, you know what I mean? It's like, oh hey, I'm applying for this. It's like, all right, how do I change this?
Yeah, I mean, this is true of all home services, but there's usually a baseline of like what kind of marketing you can do. And in plumbing, it's like, oh, all right, cool. You're called a name and you have a water drop and you got 2 wrenches like this. And then it says plumber somewhere in there. And you're like, oh, I'm branding. I'm doing really good now. And it's like, no, you aren't. You were just going from one version of noise that says free candy, get in the van, to another one that says I'm a plumber like all the other plumbers, right? So like those are the, like, that's the thing. But I like what you said about like, you've got to pop out. Like you've got to do something to be remembered.
Yeah,
so
you have to, because being remembered is like obviously kind of like what the game is. You know what I mean? People won't remember like just you, like even just like you, just like a POV shot of you just working. It's like, all right, yeah, that's cool, but like I know 1,000 plumbers that could do that.
1,000 that could do it, and then there's like 500 that do, right? But then there's like 20 that will actually put their face on the thing and a little pop-up up here that says, and here's what I was doing. I really want to show you guys this really cool thing. I'm proud of my work, right? Like, and that's a huge difference though, because now you're talking human to human, and people don't like, that's what you have to do. You got to be human first. So
yeah. Because of like AI and everything like that, it's really hard for like, especially content now, like it's been blowing up, the whole AI videos of like, fake, I'll show my mom something. She'll be like, my mom's old as shit. She's like,
moms are the best person to give AI video.
Yeah, she is the most, I love her to death, but she's the most gullible person on planet Earth. So like, I'll be like, oh yeah, look at this giant baby just like destroying a town right now. And she'll be like, no gigas, like, cause she's like Portuguese as fuck. And, she starts freaking out and shit, but it's so funny. But like, it's crazy. Like, even some of the AI videos where I've been seeing, like, really get like almost realistic to a point where I'm like, I have to rewatch this just to make sure.
So I spoke on this at a conference, and like it was before Sora 2 came out. And when Sora 2 came out, it became like, oh, now we can't tell. If you, the problem with AI is suddenly you can do everything, so people tend to like go way off the rails, right? But if you go off the rails just a little bit, like you can't tell. And so in this presentation, and before this tool came out, I had a whole bunch of things like, tell us how you use AI in your business, and had a few people give some concepts, right? And then I continued on with the presentation. At the end of the presentation, I was like, hey guys, let's look at how you actually can use AI with creative. Showed them some examples of that. And then the next slide was, oh, all those things at the beginning of the presentation were also AI, and you guys, could you tell? And like some people could, because they're good at looking for the tells, but most people were like, oh no. So I think the AI stuff is really interesting, especially from a creative standpoint. But I think like one of the easy places to use it that I think is fine, and there's some controversy on it, is your Google reviews. Like it is so hard to grab like little Nancy and be like, hey, you left me a 5-star review. Would you mind like being on camera and saying that to the camera? But now you can have AI do it for her. And you can say, hey, would you mind if I gave your words to an AI actor? And what's the difference between that and me hiring a real actor to do it? Right. Which is something I used to do in TV land all the time. So now you have this video testimonial Google review that says like, I'm Nancy, and she just looks like a different woman, but she's saying the same thing. Yeah, so that opens up kind of a big door for small companies to get over that hump of like, oh, I can't find the people to actually do my video testimonials.
So in a way, AI is definitely a huge tool for business owners. Regardless, there's like obviously some different things. You know what I mean? You can't create plumbing content from AI. Yeah. You can, but it's being your own brand though. Like having your own work. Yeah,
the AI is crap with tools. it's like this is 17 different kinds of wrench melted down into one. It's like
I remember one time I had AI like try to like generate some logos for me when I was like first starting, and then it just put this hammer. And in the hammer, it was a fucking hammer, a fucking wrench, a fucking pipe wrench, like a 6-in-1 from a hammer. And I'm like, dude, no, we're done here. So, but going off of the whole trade, we're going to stick to the trades thing. What's the biggest mistake, right, that you see with any sort of like trades or plumbing specifically that they make in their marketing?
Thinking that one thing is going to make the business. Like, so marketing is a perfect blend of a lot of things, and it's death by 1,000 cuts or success by 1,000 cuts. I don't know. But like, so for instance, I can't tell you how many calls I've been on where people are like, hey man, all I need is good SEO. I don't need to spend any money on advertising. And I'm like, that is you immediately on your back foot. Even PPC and LSA, lead generation, is you on your back foot. Because then you are waiting for somebody to have a problem before you ever talk to them. With ads on like Facebook and billboards and all these things, you are aggressively getting in front of your audience and saying, hey, look at me, I can help you, I'd love to help you. Why don't you come into my zone? I'm really good at what I do. And instead, a lot of people are like, all I need is lead gen and PPC. And whenever you do lead gen and SEO. So whenever you do those, you are always put up against all the other plumbers in the market. People are not being aggressive enough to actually own the minds of their community. And that's I think the biggest problem. Like, there's a reason why you remember the Super Bowl ads, but you don't remember anything else.
Going off of what you said, the lead gen, the SEOs, the digital ads, what's right now in this day and age, what's like the most what's the best one to use? What's working the best right now?
What's working the best? Honestly, you can't answer that because advertising isn't that blanket. I guess that's another one of the main mistakes is what works best in Florida is going to be very different than what works best in like, New Hampshire. And so like what we find is there's too many variables to say this is your path and it's just like all these other people's paths. Any marketer who runs to you and says like, hey man, I have the perfect recipe without actually analyzing your business and going into your market, it's just smoke and mirrors. And so like, think of it this way. The business that has been in a community for 10 years versus the business that's been in a community for 2 years are in very different spots within their neighborhood. And I cannot help push them forward with the same marketing methodology. They're two very different businesses at different places. One has a lot of extra collateral, like extra buildup into the community and mind share. The other one is just starting out and has to fight harder for every single piece that they have, and their revenue is likely a lot smaller. They could be a better group of plumbers or a better company than the other guys, but time does matter. And so like, and the business operations on the back end is another problem, right? And so like, there's all these different variabilities. So I am almost never saying like, you should do this and only this. And so I think it's bad to look at your marketing as though, oh, I just got to be doing exactly what the guy down the street is doing. No, you should look at what the guy down the street is doing, understand what it is, understand what the conditions are around his business, and then through the lens of your own business, see if it works. Here's a good example. Plumbers will do like these crazy offers, like, hey, free home inspection or $99 drain cleaning, right? You can't make money off of that, like just off of that alone. So a lot of the newer guys don't do it. But what is the difference? The difference is the resources and business operations on the back end to be able to support such an offer in the marketing. If the new guy can't answer his phone consistently because he's the one turning the wrench and he's in and out of the van, right? It like running PPC ads with offers like that are going to cost him way more than the other one who's got a CSR sitting at the desk and knows exactly how to get them into the estimate flow, and then a technician that also knows exactly how to get them into the upsell flow. So like those two things mean I'm going to market completely different ways.
So branching off that, what would a smaller base company would have to do to even get to like almost that same, I wouldn't say same level, but kind of get like, the same outcome, I guess you could say, whether regardless of scale, the same outcome from like, regardless of like another big company,
the thing about a lot of people will look at like private equity coming in, right? And they're like, oh man, look at all this money that's hitting the market. I can't compete with that. Don't compete with that. Understand, like, just compete, like laser focus. You don't have to compete in their same service area. Like, even if your vans can reach that place, narrow it down, get hyper focused, because you don't need, if your business is smaller, you don't need the entire customer base. You don't need the entire town. You need a section of the town. So if you laser in your marketing towards a section of the town, okay, then you can actually fight toe to toe with private equity, because now your budget allows you to get the same frequency and push and like penetration into the market that they are getting on a bigger scale. But you only need these small, like 3 neighborhoods to look and to feel like you're the best person for the job. So what you do is you take your budget and you hammer it in there. And this is typically what I like to see is you hammer it with some ads. So YouTube ads, Google display ads, Facebook ads. So that way you're just showing up to the homeowners there. And then you can run your lead gen right in there too. Lead gen is one of the few things that if you can make it work, do a little bit wider. But if you hammer it in there, you'll find your leads in there are cheaper because now you're trusted more, because you're also picking up your Google reviews and you're casting them into the market, right? But you have to laser focus your Facebook stuff also to do something people stopped talking about when we moved away from radio, which is frequency. If I show up once in a month to a customer, it's not enough to convince them that I'm worth a damn, right? But if I show up 15 to 30 times every other day for 3 months straight, think about what that does to like the person who needs a plumber in that moment, or who needs a garage door company, or who needs an electrician or whatever. Like, all they're going to do is they're going to run to Google and they're going to look for that company instead of run to Google and look for any company. So it's like, you really have to control the mind share. You control the mind share and everything else kinds of falls into place. And so like, that is what I think the small companies need to focus on, is look at your service area, understand your budget, understand how much you can buy for your budget, and narrow down in like maybe top 3 neighborhoods instead of all 20 of them.
Yeah. So kind of like a divide and conquer type thing, where it's like, you start small.
Totally. The way I look at it is you build I call it empire of influence. And then it's like risk. So you have your empire of influence, you end up like owning the zone. When you do, you can grow that to a certain point. And then if you get enough resources, you can start growing one out here too. And then eventually they start merging and blending in together. And then you end up with a bigger empire. And you slowly start eking private equity out of their zone through pure aggression.
Yeah, it sounds like Darth Vader right there.
This is how you get the high ground.
Oh man, great movie. I watched that last night. So you've obviously had so many calls, probably so many plumbing companies that reach out to you. Was there ever one that really stuck out to you that was kind of like a very successful story, like kind of started from like nothing, and now it's like a very profitable, very well-known plumbing group? Is there a success story like that?
In particular, there's one guy, and he and I both kind of started at the same time. But I had been in business and I had helped my brother's plumbing company already, right? So like, this is at the beginning of me shifting the agency to go after plumbers. My first call with him, he was in the back of his car with his wife and his kids, And he was like, I'm thinking of going out as a plumbing company. And like his kids were the best behaved kids I've ever had on a consult, to be honest. Like, and I was like, okay. He's like, I want you guys to handle the marketing. And I was like, how much revenue do you have? And he's like, none. And I was like, how are you going to pay a marketing company? Like, and so what I told him to do is all the guerrilla tactics, right? So I was like, dude, you got to go be loud. Like, and he's a big personality anyway. So I was like, I bet you he could do this. He went out and he did like a lot of door knocking. He did a lot of like talking to other businesses that were adjacent. So he like went and talked to all the drywall guys, the electricians and whatnot, and slowly started to build up more and more awareness within the like trades community within his town, and got his leg up. And then it was about 8 months later, he ends up back on my doorstep and he's like, I did it all. Like I did everything you said, joining Facebook groups and like really being active in there within the communities, all the things that you can do when you're a one-man band that you kind of have to do. And he did it. And then I was like, well, how much are you doing in revenue? And he was like, doing about 40K. I was like, that's a lot different than zero. So we got him signed in for marketing, and he's grown and grown and grown, and he was recently acquired. And it was like, that was cool. That's a fun journey to watch somebody go on. And especially with him in particular, because he's just an awesome dude. That's one of those moments in like my world where I'm like, oh, this feels good. I'm putting some good stuff out in the world. Right? So
it's like, oh, my shit actually works. My stuff actually works.
Sure, what I did works, but to his credit, like a lot of it takes the owner like really doing some of the hard things. And so like he completely changed the course of his family. His entire family has a completely different makeup and future now. And that's one of the real stories. And it's not every story that ends up that way.
Has there been a story where it's like, oh shit? You know what I mean? Like,
no.
fuck.
Okay, so another one.
There's always a good story, and then there's always a bad story. The bad story is like, I never want to talk about this again, except on the Build to Rise podcast. I want to talk about that. Yeah.
No, the biggest bummer I can think of off the top of my head was we had a company that had all the ingredients to do really good. Like we redid their brand, they like made the right decisions, they're doing everything right. But we didn't know this until it became a problem. They were two brothers who went into business together. And we mainly worked with one of the wives, and she was great. And then I get this email one day and he's like, we're shutting it down. It's like, what happened? And then it was like, the brothers had a fight and they're not going to make up. So we're just shutting the whole thing down. Wow. I was like, this is like 2 years worth of work for both of us. Like, yes, we were paid as it was ongoing, but it was like, we want
losing a client.
It's a family drama.
Yeah. The biggest rule is never go into business with your family.
I mean,
you know what
I've seen some people make it work, but you got to have pretty strong role definitions to make that work. And there's a reason why my brother and I run separate businesses, even though we're in adjacent like world. It's just like, nah, we know that'd be a recipe for disaster.
Yeah. But was the business like profitable? Like very profitable?
Decent. They were doing okay. I mean, as far as I knew, like you never really know. So,
yeah, you never really know. You know what I mean? Right. One of them might have a gambling problem.
Like,
you know what I mean?
I need another $100,000. What for? I'm going to Vegas.
It's too much sports gambling. You know what I mean? But so going back to the big brand, little brand thing, what separates businesses that follow through from those that fail? What's like that key thing that you always see?
I think one of the biggest things is like owners who are willing to listen, not just to their marketer, but like to anybody. So, I have seen owners just ignore problems in their business. I mean, to some degree, I've been that owner too and had to like adjust course. I think everybody has that at some point. But like the other thing is, I see some owners who go like, no, I'm going to make this work my way versus I'm going to make this, like being open to the suggestions of maybe you need to tweak this or that. Those owners, they tend to be flashes in the pans. I mean, the thing about business is it's constantly evolving and moving, and then the owner needs to be constantly evolving as well. Like, I think business is like one of the best character building things anybody can do. And so you naturally should be changing as you are in business year over year. And you should be a better person at the end of every year that you were when you started. And so like, it's the owners who kind of just stay stuck in the mud, who are just like, you know, immovable rocks, who think they could do no wrong, like that whole thing. Those guys, we try and weed them out so they don't sign up, but when they do, we kind of watch them and go like, yeah, this is only going to last a little while, but let's see if they adjust. And inevitably most don't, right?
What does that come down to? Is that like an ego thing, you think? Or like what causes them, like why don't they adjust?
I think there's
what's stopping
two things. One, it could be ego. The other is fear. Like, because there's a courage that you have to have in order to be in business. And that includes making really hard decisions and having really tough conversations, right? So like, if you end up putting your business into a spot where it's no longer healthy, that's on you. And so you have to have like the sort of the humbleness to go, shit, guys, I screwed up. Like we gotta adjust here. Like there's guys who don't want to admit that or are so afraid of the conversation, they just die a slow death. And then eventually they just can't do anything but be a man in a van.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you just got to be kind of real with yourself of like, hey, well, I guess that's the thing with business in general, right? Whether it goes well or it goes poorly, it's like it all comes down to like the CEO or whoever is like at the forefront of it. Even if it's someone on your team that made a mistake, it's like, well, you hired that person on your team or you trained that person. It's like, it's a real big game of like accountability, and it's kind of painful, especially when things aren't going so well.
It is. I mean, and I think every business has to go through these stages where they like learn their world more and more, and then they become, again, you become better as time goes on. Like, I know I've had moments in my business where I've had to go like, oh snap, that's not the way the world works. I thought that this thing was going to work this way, and it just doesn't. And so you just got to take your lumps and understand that there's going to be lumps. The other thing is, I think running a business takes some grit, right? It's not easy.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Especially in the trades, definitely takes a lot of grit.
And so like realizing that a lot of your efforts also are not going, there's an inherent problem with psychology and like with my world is like in business, a lot of times you make moves that you don't feel for months. And so like what ends up happening with plumbers is they're so used to tools. You use a tool, you get a result immediately. And then they end up hiring vendors thinking they're a tool. And to some degree, yes, they are. But then you have to like slowly wait for the effects of those tools to maintain relevance. And that's a sticky wicket sometimes where it's like, hey man, you're going to do some stuff and you need to be doing it for 6 months before you feel it. And that's hard because business owners also by their nature, we're all impatient. Like nobody wants to wait around. We're all like, am I at 5 million yet? I want to be there right now. And it's like, dude, you're at like 1.5 and you're expecting to grow to 5 in a year. Good luck. So,
I mean, is it possible though?
It would take the perfect set of circumstances. Like
all the planets would have to align.
Another thing that I really worry about within the business communities is like you hear these stories, right? These anomalies of like, look at this overnight success. Look at how great this went. Look, they started here and in like 2 years they had a $400 million business or whatever. Those things are A, super rare, and B, if you look at those blanketly without like, pay attention to what industry they're in. And because you, even amongst like an electrician to a plumber, to a garage door guy, to a pest control, all different. They're all going to have different success stories. And so people cherry pick these like stories and try to apply them to their business. And it's like, you need to put the lens of your business over it to understand like whether or not that's smart. Like so many people are running after a gold that doesn't apply to their industry. And it's like, no. Be very careful about accepting the advice of somebody who doesn't have like real experience in your corner of the world. And so that's something, especially like I see all these guys running after SEO because e-commerce uses it so much And it's like, no, this is different for SEO is totally different game for ecom, guys. Don't listen to the ecom like business people about this thing. Like, go find service people.
And Tyler, to that point, right? So like Built to Rise is kind of about getting people into the trades, helping them level up, and sort of essentially getting them to the point where they're business owners and running profitable businesses. For the people who are kind of more in the early stages, whether they're like deciding if business is for them or like they're in the early stages, what's kind of like the trajectory of like where someone can start? Like year one, you start your plumbing business, you start your electrical business. What can they sort of expect to make in terms of revenue, if you have any idea on that sort of thing? And then what does like year 3, 5 kind of look like? Because I think, to your point, people think they can come in and they're just going to make a ton of money off the rip, but it's like having worked with service businesses, you kind of have that behind the scenes of like what the reality actually looks like, which a lot of people, I don't think they have that sort of that view into that. Is there any sort of light you can kind of shed on that?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard for me because the marketing, like, obviously I know the marketing world of like, I know my finances and what those were like when I was freelancing and stuff, but it's still a service-based business. Honestly, what I see a lot in like the trades is that first year, if you're the one-man band, don't expect to make a ton of money the first year as you are building your customer base. So the first year is a lot of like, all right, I'm going to leverage my personal network. I'm going to leverage like Facebook groups. I'm going to do everything I can to make myself known, but I don't have a lot of resources to throw at things like marketing and all these other things, right? You may have some and you may get some. I highly recommend you look into ensuring that you are priced properly for your market if you want to make any progress. But like at the end of that first year, there's some who do $1 million, but it's pretty rare. Like most people at the end of the first year are sitting like anywhere from 250 to 500, I would say. And those are the good ones. There's some guys who end the year and they're like, sweet, I made 80 grand. And it's like, what's your margin? 20%. Oh, that sucks. Right. So, but there's some who like make 500 and their margin is 50. And honestly, the guys who tend to like run in those circles, they're also really seeking out business advice from people around them, from coaches, from podcasts. They're learners, they're natural educators like for themselves. And so like being hungry for that is super important.
Have you ever tried to get a hold of customer support at a software company? Well, most of the time you're just sitting there talking to a bot, or you're waiting for weeks. Not with FieldPulse. One of the many things that customers love about FieldPulse is their customer support. When you reach out, you're not talking to a bot or some outsourced call center. You're talking to real people who actually know the trades and understand how your business runs and know how to answer any questions you may have. Field Pulse team listens too. They're constantly updating and improving the platform based on their user feedback. So the software keeps evolving with your needs. And it's not just talk. Their support has been recognized across the boards with awards from G2, Capterra, Software Advice, GetApp, and Software World. If you want software backed by a team that actually has your back, check out fieldpulse.com and see why their customers love working with them.
After that, every year things get a little bit easier for a while. Like, so the first year you have no foundation in your business. You have no repeat business, right? Second year, you have a little bit more. Third year, you have a little bit more. And I feel like people tend to hit a sweet spot for a little while on the third year. And they might still be under $1 million a year. Again, like garage door is going to be different, and pest control is going to be different than landscaping is going to be different than electrical and plumbers. Like plumbers are what I'm thinking of the most. Like, so you might enter the home 2 to 3 times a year for each customer you get, right? And so then you kind of know, okay, well, I've got these 100 people from last year. They're going to come in. I'll probably end the year with 100 more, which means the next year you've got 200 jobs almost already lined up if you know that those guys are going to be there. And that gives you a security. And a lot of people are looking for security right out of the gate. And sadly, one of the best business quotes is get ready to be uncomfortable. Like, be comfortable being uncomfortable, right? Like, because especially that first year, it's just going to hurt a bit. Like you're going to be riddled with anxiety about like, hope I can make that bill, unless you are priced real properly and your actual like social fortitude is really high. Like, let's face it, there's some people like they walk into a room and they command the room. the guy who did really good that I talked about, like he was that kind of guy. Like I was in a room of 100 people and him, and you could hear him from across the room. Like, he was that kind of guy, right? And so it's like, man, all you needed were some tools, and then you're able to fly. But for some people, it's really hard. And like, so they go to business networking events or they go to trade shows, and they don't have like the magnetic personality, and they kind of have to learn that. And arguably, so did I. I was an extreme introvert as a child. So like after a while, I got out of my shell, and then I was like, oh, I'm gonna talk to people. Okay, I'll figure it out.
I think I'm the same way too. I don't know, Alex, maybe you can answer this question. And I don't know if I'm like an introvert, an extrovert. I never know. I get along with people.
Yeah. So like my wife would probably call me an extrovert because I do like, I feel like I need to entertain when somebody, but it depletes me. Like I get jazzed, and then I do need to rest, right? And recharge. Yeah. And so like, I think, and then there's some people who just like seek out the social interactions all the time. And they're like, hey, what are we going to go do? Let's go do a thing. I heard there's an event. Let's go. And those people exhaust me.
Yeah,
so,
totally.
No, I'm in bed by 9. Like I have a child who's like that. He's like, let's go. And then I have another child who's like, let's not go. And I'm like, get you, son.
There's a tale of two twins right there.
Yep. They are twins.
Oh, hey!
Wow.
Totally shot from the hip on that one, buddy.
Good intuition.
But saying on the topic of like businesses and everything like that, what are some like trending things that you see in like trades, marketing for trades, regardless of the trade itself, that at least every business owner should know right off the rip? What's like a trending thing that they should know? I
think that nobody's going to like this. But
we like hot takes.
You like challenges?
We like hot takes.
All right. Yeah. So, no, I mean, most business owners don't like this because it's hard. Like, honestly, with trades, it's like everybody's doing a version of the same thing. So it's like you need to break out of the mold. And with AI being so prevalent, and with everybody hitting the easy button, you got to hit the hard button. One of the hardest buttons is to grab this stinking brick out of your pocket, point it at your face, and smile, right? And be like, "Hi, I'm Tyler. I run a marketing agency. I might be a little bit different than the others. You like this is what I do, right? Just building that bridge." And so like, every home services company needs to start doing that. Like we are always asking people for more footage, more photos. And it's like, yeah, I'll get them next month. And I'm like, what about this month? Like, what is holding you back from like pulling that phone out of your pocket, pointing it at your face? You don't have to be perfect. Like just be, and then just having a conversation. Like so many people feel like they need to perform. And granted, sure, there's ways to do that and it works out well. But honestly, mostly, if you just said like, holy cow, I met the best dog at this job today and I really want to introduce him to you, that will endear you to way more potential customers than like all the specials and like crazy ads that you kind of see, right? Just have the personality that the middle-aged housewife wants to bring across the threshold of their home.
I think it's any business or any brand content creator. If you don't put your face out there, nobody's gonna know who you are. And then Gary Vee made a great point where it's kind of like what you just said. Take out this fucking brick in your pocket that costs about $1,500. Excuse me.
Like $50,000.
Yeah, mine's made out of gold, but it works like crap. You take this out. You start recording yourself. It doesn't have to be good. It doesn't have to be bad. It doesn't matter what it looks like. You're doing better than like a lot of other people right now, that the doers and then the guys that actually do it.
Yeah, I think there's a level of everybody's worried that they won't be for somebody when realistically in most markets you can be for most people just fine as yourself. And so like everybody's worried about judgment. Like, and Gary Vee talks about that a lot, right? I like Gary Vee's stuff quite a bit because he talks about the authenticity of humanity within his stuff. And I think that is something that people shy away from because it doesn't come natural to be a performer and all this stuff. But honestly, think about if you want to make a dent while somebody is sitting on Facebook and scrolling or Instagram or TikTok or whatever, and you want to put a piece of media in front of them, it makes sense to give them what they went to the platform for, which is going to be entertainment, not, hey, I'm a plumber. Would you like a drain cleaning today? Right? So like always asking for the sale is a problem. And there's easy ways to do that too. Like if you're like, oh, I got no ideas. It's like, cool, just give a tip. Don't have a tip, hop on ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT for ideas for a tip and then talk about said tip. It's not complex. But then you can really, I mean, one of the hardest things for people is consistency with stuff like that. They're like, oh, okay, I did my 10 and that'll last me 6 months. I'm like, no, we need way more than that. So.
And that's the thing too. From all the businesses that you see succeeding, is posting every day kind of like the algorithm of like, okay, you get the most views, most engagement, most interactions, you know.
So you got to be careful about vanity metrics. And like, so vanity metrics, do you know what those are?
No, sir.
Probably. Anyway, cool. Yeah. So a vanity metric is something that makes you feel good, but it has absolutely no like actual weight to the business. So, and marketing agencies ran into this for a while where they would report on vanity metrics and then it wouldn't make a dent to the business and then people would get frustrated, right? So a vanity metric would be something that doesn't actually connect you to the audience in any meaningful way. So here's a good example. Organic posting on social media with a hashtag of your industry. That might get a lot of views, but there's no guarantee that those views are going to be for people who are within your economic buying power or within your geographic service area. And so you end up with a whole lot of trash views, but you feel good about it and you wonder why you're not making any money. And so like what we like to see for people, and this is why I'm a big paid ads guy, is because you can't control organic. The algorithm controls organic, but they give you this really handy button called advertising that you can click and it allows you to control it. And so does it cost money? Yes, but that's why they built the freaking platform. So they want you to do it. So like you got to remember, Google and Facebook are not incentivized to give you free anything, especially if you're a business. It's one thing if you're a personality. It's another thing if you're a business. And so, and there's a big difference between national and local. Service businesses, trades guys are local. So trying to build, like use the same tactics as a big like influencer brand doesn't work. So you hit the advertising button and then next thing you know, you can be like, well, I just want this zone. And again, I want to hit them the 15 to 30 times. And so you can reverse engineer your reach and your frequency based on, or you can engineer your frequency based on your reach. But then so for us, if we're doing a brand awareness campaign, we focus on the frequency. I want to know that we're hitting people's eyeballs enough. And I want to know how many of those people there are. I don't care about comments and shares and likes, because for every 1,000 people I reach, I might get 15 likes, right? The one thing that it can do is it can tell me if my content's kind of like hitting a zone that might be worth producing more of. So it's not completely useless, but I'm not going to measure the success of a campaign on it. Like there's more important metrics to hit. And because the scale of advertising that you need, you don't want to reach 100 or 300 people with a post. You want to reach 10,000. And so there's a huge difference between that. And I think that people have a hard time conceptualizing the difference in scale. When we were doing TV and radio, it was mass media. And people are and organic is not mass media. For home services companies, it's not. It's very rare that a company can blast through the noise enough. And it takes a high degree of creative. And it is so difficult to re-engineer virality that way. And so, that's a fallacy. Chasing the virality will exhaust your resources and exhaust your team before you ever can do it again. So so it's better to like pay, do as best you can on the creative, but pay so you're consistent. Build it in your operations budgets.
And in terms of budget, right? We haven't touched too much on that, and I don't know if people really know. But what does kind of budget look like for like a year one person versus like a year 3 or 5 person?
So budget shouldn't be determined on age. It should be determined on revenue. And so rule of thumb is if you're a home service company and you're trying to figure out what your marketing budget should be, 5 to 15% of your revenue. And so the first year, you're going to have a really murky idea about what that is. So you kind of got to project forward. And the other idea is set your goal. So if you want to be a $500,000 company by the end of the year, market like you were a $500,000 company, which means spend anywhere from 5 to 15% of a $500,000 company's revenue, split that out monthly, and then you have your budgets. 5% is barely scratching the surface of market penetration. 5 to 7 is maintenance. And then I would go like 8 to 12 is, 8 to 12 is getting a little bit aggressive for growth. And then the 13 to 15 is getting much more aggressive. And it's very rare, but sometimes necessary, that I've seen companies go to 20%. Now that is a company that is actively trying to steal market share from another company. And usually not something you would want a new company to do. But when you do that percentage model, then you know, well, I've got this much in the tank for marketing and I'm spending it. And a lot of people go like, well, I need it to make its money back. The problem is influence. You can't measure like that, right? So like the advertising you buy today might bring you jobs 3 months down the road if it's consistent until 3 months, right? And so with advertising and general brand building, like you build a ramp of awareness. And then if you stop advertising, you start to decay, and you start to decay pretty stinking fast. And then you have to build up the ramp, which takes time again, right? So all like fits and starts with marketing spends is a big problem. And also like not all your marketing budget should go to your advertising budget. You got vendors, you've got like collateral. So you've got like business cards and signage and sponsorships, like all that is part of it. It's not just like advertising.
And what's a good breakdown look like for that? Like how much they should spend on like videographers versus like ads versus like door hanger? Like what's a general kind of like what someone should be doing?
Yeah, it's going to vary like from media to media. So, I mean, for instance, SEO work, right? There's no ad spends with SEO work. For mailers, there's going to be print costs, and then there's going to be mailing costs, like postage. And then there's going to be design costs, right? So typically what I try and, like in that case, I wouldn't want the design cost to be more than 20% of the total budget of the project. But it also depends on how many houses you're trying to hit. And so, and that's going to influence what kind of a designer you hire, realistically. For videography, though, the interesting thing about videography, because that was my bread and butter for a long time, is you can hire a videographer, you can get a bunch of footage in the can, and then you can sit on that for 6 months and re-edit different versions of this thing, right? And so you have new stuff all the time. So I would say the upfront cost might be a little bit higher, but then your back-end editing costs are going to be lower, and then your spends are going to be higher in subsequent months. So it does kind of ebb and flow a little bit. Like you put a plan together, so at least you have a little bit of a baseline, right? Like just plan out a year. Just say like if. Right? It's okay if you don't meet it the same way, if it changes. If your revenue goes up, your budget could go up. If your revenue dips, you might want to like figure out, okay, can we maintain or not? Right? But like in general, I think like put your ad spends over here, and that should be 50% or more of your total budget. And then your production costs and your maintenance costs, like all those things should probably be anywhere from, 20 to 50. That's some of me like throwing spaghetti at the wall and going like, I think this sounds good.
Oh man, sorry. I'm there's something that we do at the end of the podcast, and I'm just trying to get it set up where we ask like 10 random questions.
Than non-random questions.
Yeah. So let's say if I post every day on my plumbing service website or social media, and my camera's in my face, I'm showing what I'm doing, blah, blah, blah. Do I take the most successful or most viewed post that I have there and run it as an ad? Because I've seen that tactic a lot. Whereas it's something else where it's like a legit like ad, like people are just saying like, do you need Drake like that? Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, do you rather run that or an actual ad where you're like, oh, hey, this is what I do, call to action?
Honestly, I think there should be a blend of things going on. Like you should have your brand awareness, you should have your social proof, and then you should have your offer. Like kind of all running in tandem. So that way the audience is seeing all of them at the same time, because one day they'll see your offer, one day they'll see your review. The review might push them to accept the offer the next time, right? Like, so there's a bit of a sequence going on. But in regards to like, man, we had this social post really pop off in the community. I wonder if it would go farther, right? I wonder if I should turn that into an ad. Absolutely, yes. Like, because there's something there. I think the thing that becomes a problem is when people try and chase that same success over and over and over and over again, instead of just keep doing the thing, right? So like, you could have something where it's just, hey, this is a funny little one-off thing, and it does like thousands of views, and you're like, damn, that worked. Okay, how do I do more of those? And then you start chasing that dragon of, I need thousands of views, and then you end up like not actually communicating to your audience because you're chasing a view dragon, right? And so in the meantime, you have a big ice storm and there's frozen pipes everywhere, and you're talking about this thing that was viral, instead of going like, hey guys, if you got frozen pipes, you should give us a call because we have limited space, right? So it's like, be careful about getting distracted.
So pretty much like hitting like at least like trending topics for like that month. So like for plumbers, like, you know, oh, your water heater needs to be serviced in the month of November before it really gets cold. Hey, call us. Whether it be like, or not having like the content of like, today I did a hose bib outside. Has nothing to do with the winter. You know what I mean? So I think it's a lot of it's researching, right? Researching what's like the top things that people really go for. And I think that's probably what a lot of people misstep is like, my content, I'm just going to post content. No, I need to post content that actually works and makes sense and like has knowledgeable information for it as well.
You got to make sure that you are meeting the market fit. And if you have something that goes gangbusters, don't assume that, especially if it's organic, don't assume that those are actual potential customers who are watching it. Go look at the demographics and the insights around that post before you consider it. Because there's been times where I've looked at something and I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then you look at the actual demographics and you're like, everybody with a fixed income would love this post. And it's like, oh, that's not good for the plumbers. They need like middle class America to see it, not people who are in retirement homes. So like you do got to be careful. Like so many people don't look at the nuances of this stuff, and then they end up just going like, well, I thought this would work. That was a lot of money.
Actually, I love that nuance though, because people just look at social media like, oh, what's performing well? I should make content that looks like that. But they don't think about that second order of like, okay, well, who am I actually trying to get this piece of media or content to? Yeah. Like who do I want to see this? Because if you're in Fairbanks, Alaska, and the person who's seeing it is in Utah and you're a local plumber, it's like it's cool for your brand to grow, but it's like, is that going to turn to like an actual customer? Maybe if they move to Alaska, but realistically, like probably not.
I know. I was watching like one of the bigger marketers on YouTube, because I like to follow their stuff and see if there's any new things. And they had this marketing 101 video, and I was watching it and I was like, they never call out what industry they're talking about. They're like, okay, so you got to do this, and this. And I was like, that won't work for plumbers. That will work for plumbers. That won't work for plumbers. That will work for plumbers. And it was like, the last thing I want is my clients to watch this and wonder why like they aren't doing this, and this. And when I'm like, half of those things are really not worth your energy. Right. And so it's, again, putting it through the lens and not making assumptions. Like marketing, it's ultimately like understanding the psychology of a people group and trying to influence it with technology. And so if you don't know all the little things that come into that, it's really easy to make some mistakes. I mean, it's easy enough to make mistakes even if you do. So it's like marketing is still, even in all this age of data and all this really cool stuff that we can pull out, it's still a series of experiments. If anybody had like cracked the code of marketing and cracked the code of humanity, well, you'd have, $1 million business pop up every 30 seconds. And we don't, because it's hard. It's freaking hard.
Embrace the suck is what I heard a lot of people, like Navy SEALs. Like I'm reading this book. It's called, I I think it's called Make Your
Oh, I've heard
Bed
of that.
or something like that. And it's a great book. I'm loving it so far. But he would tell me like all the fucking like all the crazy shit the Navy SEALs would go through, and I'm just like, bro, I would never do that. But then I'm like, bro, I'm a bitch. Why am I fucking like I wouldn't even be there in the first place? But then it brought me to my attention. I'm like, all right, they have their like their suck thing. I have mine. And I just gotta embrace the suck, waking up at 3:00 in the morning to go to my trades job, to go to my plumbing job, embrace the suck. This is why I gotta do it, because I gotta make money. You know what I mean?
That's business 101 too. Is like some of this shit is hard, some of it's gonna suck. Like you're gonna have ups and downs, but it's I still think like with all those ups and downs, business is one of the best things you can do for yourself. Even if you don't
100%.
knock it out of the park, you will almost always be a better person at the other end.
And that is a quote that we're going to put on a t-shirt, ladies and
I already
gentlemen.
got a t-shirt. I'm good.
I know. That's a great t-shirt, guy. Market. I love that style, man. Oh, man, you're going to have to send a couple of our way over here down in Boston. So, but we are going into the lightning round question. Tyler, we want to thank you for your time. You've been an absolute banger of a guest, an absolute stud.
Geez.
You know what I mean? But one thing before I get into it, I actually was thinking about this, and I should have asked this a long time ago. But is there a role model that you really look up to as you becoming a really successful marketer for the trades? Is there a role model behind this success? Is there somebody that you kind of take the blueprint from, or multiple people you take blueprints from, kind of and put it into your own life and then your own professional and personal?
I mean, there's
life?
a lot of contemporaries in marketing that I look at. There's no one person. To me, I take a lot of influences from a lot of different people and blend them together. Like there's some that are marketing, there's some that are business, there's some that are fathers. And some people I know personally and some people I don't. And so but there's not like one person, because I am my own blend. I'm another unique snowflake, right? So like I have a really hard time being like this one person, because honestly, one person never has all the answers that I need, and it'll be the same thing for anybody else. So it's really hard for me to say like this one role model. I'm sorry, that's such a non-answer, but it's true.
Yeah. I mean, hey, some people are like, yeah, I just like listening or like taking a bunch of other people's like different mindsets and just kind of putting it all.
You'll
into
find
one.
me in the back alleys of like Hormozy and Gary Vee, like most marketers. Like Dan Martell is another one that so
Dan
like
Martell's a great
all
guy,
those guys, I really like and appreciate that. But also like, okay, here's a good role model: Ogilvy. It's an ads man from the 60s. Right. So he wrote a book, I have it over there, and it's just all about like advertising and impact and sort of like how to craft a message. And Roy H. Williams, who wrote Wizard of Ads, one of the first advertising books I ever read.
Wizard of Ads. I love
dude,
that title.
that book was all about radio, and it was all about here's how you connect deeper. And it's 30-second storytelling. And that's what when I read that, that's when I was like, this could be a career for me. I love this stuff. I don't know much about him outside of like the craft, but he nailed the craft. And then there's Donald Miller, brand story stuff, right? So Chris Doe of Future, like those guys. I mean, there's a lot of them, right? And it's just like I'm a hodgepodge of all those influences myself.
I love that. I'm gonna get that book, man. Wizard of
It's an
Ads,
old
just
one.
for the title.
It's great.
I'm like, dude, this
Yeah.
is yeah. I'm gonna have to go to my local bookstore and see if they have
got
it. Nah. All right, we are getting into the lightning round questions. Tyler, this is 50. Puha. Jesus, 10 random questions. Absolute random. It could be about work. It could be about what you had to eat last night. It could be, the last thing you Googled, whatever. Let's get right into it. The biggest threat to marketers, AI or educated clients?
The biggest threat?
Yeah.
17-year-olds with a passion. Like, because they're going to be able to learn and go, yeah, I got this. Like, that's the biggest threat. And honestly, that's the biggest opportunity.
Yeah.
I love to see young people figure things out. So
Yeah. Do Do you see a lot of that nowadays? The younger people,
Some
like,
of
because
them.
they're so.
Some of them, like because the world changes every generation, and so I look at it and I'm watching like my kids and their generation have different behaving patterns. And one day, because I've already been this myself, is I rose from adolescence to young adult to buying power. And so like watching the 20-year-olds now and seeing what they're going to be like those are the biggest threat to, honestly, biggest threat to marketing: apathy of any company, not willing to change in order to meet the market that's coming up.
Do you think that's what makes or breaks companies nowadays? The whole apathy part, where they're not willing to change, especially the old school ways, where it's like old school plumbing heads that I've dealt with a few times. They don't want to go on either. They don't want to have a social media presence, or they don't want to have like Google reviews. They're just like a lot of word to mouth. And I feel like businesses nowadays, they need to be like, I wouldn't say need, but definitely have to be on social media.
Yeah, I mean, I did a consult the other day and they didn't have a website, and I was like, "Oh boy, this is rough." But I mean, all that is determinant on the goals of the company. Some people just want to be a man in a van. That's fine. Like, but if you want to build like something of legacy for your family or for somebody else's family or whatever, or even just for personal wealth generation, like you gotta dream bigger and you gotta take different actions.
And you gotta take risk, right? Risk is a big thing. Yep. All right. What scares you more, a DIY marketing contractor, or I learned SEO on YouTube clients?
Ooh. I learned marketing. I learned SEO on YouTube clients are usually clients who are like here today and gone tomorrow. Yeah, because all they do is they go, "Well, that's not the way I learned it." I'm like, "Cool. Well, then go find somebody who does it the way you learned it." Like, we do it the way we do it because we believe this is the way it works. But don't try and drive my bus. Hop on my bus if you believe in me.
Yeah. Hop on the bus. All right, anyway. If TikTok, or actually, no, better yet, if Instagram like gets shut down, like we go through a whole entire shutdown again, what's the next best? What's the next best social media platforms for business owners, specifically in the trades?
Man, if the world gets shut down again, Instagram is the thing that's going to go.
Well, again, these are questions that ChatGPT made, and I'm like,
no,
fuck.
People would hate it because it's not going to be a US owned company, but I think TikTok wins after that. Right now, I think TikTok holds more attention. TikTok or YouTube? So
I think YouTube Shorts and TikTok is like almost
I mean, Google's done
because
some really good catch up there. Like given that YouTube does long form better and that it's taking over the TV market at the same time, I would place my bets on YouTube.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I like YouTube too. What's more painful, bad leads or bad logos?
Well, bad logos become bad leads. They make bad leads.
So it's a mix of both. Yeah. Is there something that you could tell somebody like right now?
Painful for me, bad logo. Painful for the client, bad leads.
Is there something that you could do for them, like from your standpoint? It's like, okay, here, this is what your logo should include. Is there something like that at least every trades or any business
colors that are not typical to your industry? A color palette, something bold. If you are running around in your red, white, and blue, and you are a home services company, you are part of the noise, and that's not going to serve you.
So is that why yours is
teal, orange, and black?
Because it stands out.
Yep.
Because it stands out. I like that.
You know what's kind of interesting to that point? I'll just chime in. I'm based in San Diego, and there's a plumbing company out here, and it's a woman who's like a CEO of the company, and they're all pink. So all their vans driving around, they're pink. It always catches your eye, man. Like when I'm at traffic and I see it pull up on the side of me, I'm like, interesting. Because there's so many plumbing companies out here, but the fact that it's just that color, they're probably exactly like the other guys, but just that little piece of,
If I remember right, I've actually looked into them, and they aren't what you would call well branded, but they're still bold, right? Like from a graphic design standpoint, it's not super professional, but it's super bold. Like that pink color is a courage choice, right?
Yes.
Nobody else is going to do it. And you can see those vans from 2 miles away.
100%. And then I think the other thing too is like the fact that it's pink, and then once you look into it, you find out that it's a woman CEO. So just that aspect. Well, it's different, right? Because almost all trades, it's mostly guys who run it. So the fact that it's a woman kind of, sometimes it's the thing, right? Like if it's a veteran-owned company, veterans kind of gravitate towards it. If it's XYZ, there's something to be said about that as well.
Veteran-owned companies have a tendency to use the American flag and be red, white, and blue. The problem is red, white, and blue is used by lots of plumbing companies, even if it's not veteran-owned. So it tends to be a bigger problem than a help, which is kind of sad given what they want to stand for. But yeah, you got to be careful about blending with the noise. I see it all the time where people are like, look how cool my logo is. And it's like, you mean the logo that looks exactly like those 5 other guys?
Yeah, way to kick them when they're down too, Tyler. Just like
I know. I'm like, I'm sorry you spent $5,000 on that. Here is what I think.
Oh man. Let's see. All right, let's be honest here. Do you trust anything you see on TikTok? The experts on TikTok. Do you trust anything that they say?
There's a couple experts I would trust, but honestly, most of what I consume is somebody not giving you full context. Right? So, for instance, I saw somebody be like, look at how awesome we rank on Google Maps. Here's where we took a company, but they never showed you what keyword they were searching for. So you saw a red grid and then you saw a green grid, which shows the progress of like, look how amazing we are at Google Maps. Well, guess what? All you have to do is search the name of that company. And of course, they're going to look awesome on Google Maps. And then you search the name of another company and they're going to look horrible. And then you can call that your case study. I think that's slimy.
One word to describe AI in the next 5 years: exciting, scary, or overhyped.
Super exciting. Yeah. Here's the thing is like, AI is it's like a technology shift, and I love technology shifts because it means that you can do something new. Some people are worried about it eating away into markets. I think that the only people who need to be worried about that is the people who don't figure out how to repurpose their time that they now have to go deeper and go do more.
Are people more addicted to validation or entertainment?
Validation, 100%.
Yeah, I
yeah,
that, yeah,
that's a good one.
Would you ever date someone who posts everything about your relationship online?
I wouldn't date somebody if I did that. I would, honestly. Yeah. I mean, it depends on in what context. Like if it's like a drama issue where they're just
like every aspect.
Probably not. If I felt like the skeletons were coming out of the closet and the dirty laundry was going to be aired and things would be misconstrued or whatever, I'd be like, this is not worth the effort.
Are we living in the best time right now?
Yeah. Have you watched the Jetsons? We're way better. We might not have we don't have flying cars, but we like basically have everything else. Have you noticed that you and I are talking on what is the equivalent of a Dick Tracy watch? Like
that is true. That is
I
true.
mean, dude, I grew up on Star Trek, and I'm like, look at that old shit. Like, we're so much better.
Going to college or joining the trades, what's more successful now?
What do you want to do with your life? If you want to join the trades, there you go. That's your path. If you want to become a historian, go to college.
So it all depends on the major you want to take. You know what I mean?
Well, so I think I hate it when people put those things in like warring oppositional buckets. I think it's one of the dumbest things in the world. I'm like, who do you want to be? Go be the best version of that by following the path that creates the best version of that, whether that's college or not. Neither one of them are perfect, and neither one of them will lead you astray if you understand what they're there for. Right? Last thing I want is a heart surgeon who went to trade school, though. I'm just going to say it.
Who the fuck is this guy? Hey. If there's one trend in today's like social media that you can delete forever, which one is it?
What's up, YouTube? It's Tyler.
Oh,
Williams.
yeah,
Go back at you.
yeah.
Like, subscribe, hit that bell. Right, that thing. I hate that. I hate it.
That? Do you think it not? You don't like it doesn't work, right? Or
I don't think it works anymore. I think it became noise, and then people stopped paying attention.
So, like, what's like one of the key, like, I guess, hook things that you want to have on a YouTube?
So, like, for anything, like even shorts media, right, is like pose a question, pose an intriguing question to your audience as your first statement in the first 3 seconds, and then tell them that you're going to follow through, right? So, hey, do you know how much it costs on advertising to reach people 30 times in a month? Well, I'll tell you if you hang around here, right? So like something along those lines. I've been toying around a lot more with hooks on my own stuff. But it's a bit of an art, right? I don't think there's any perfect thing. And then the audience sensibilities move when they get used to it. So then you got to go find it again.
Would you rather go viral for something stupid or something embarrassing? Actually, no, I'm sorry, I read that wrong. Something dope or cool, as the kids say nowadays, or something embarrassing? Like, would you rather be viral, right? If you like ate shit because you couldn't go down the stairs properly, okay. or you go viral for like some really good knowledgeable information.
Dude, I'd rather go viral for the things that I ate shit on.
All right, okay.
There's a real reason for it. No one remembers the heroes on virality, right? Everybody knows like Charlie bit my finger and all these like weird things. And so then guess what you do? Then you make t-shirts of yourself and you sell them on the internet and bam, you have yourself an income and you retire on a beach somewhere. Good job.
Let's go.
Oh man. All right, and the last question. If there's one thing that you want to leave behind for your legacy, what's that one thing?
Honestly, like from a work standpoint, from a business standpoint, I want people to remember me for being honest and frank about marketing and influence and people and how to guide people and how to utilize those skills for a way that help both parties. Like, I want to be the marketer that people don't look at and go like, man, that guy was full of shit, right? I want them to look at me and go like, he at least spoke the truth about what all this stuff was.
Tyler, we want to thank you again for being on the podcast. This is the final minute where we give our guests pretty much free range. Talk about put any plugs you want, talk about anything you want. The floor is yours, buddy. Go right ahead.
All right, so I'm going to tell you all about my Labradoodle named Tame. So basically, in the grand scheme of things, if you listen to any marketer, including me, put it through the lens of your own particular industry and business and make sure that you are looking at it responsibly. Too many people pack on the trends and then blanketly apply them to their business and they wonder why it didn't work. And then they just throw in the towel with marketing in general. I don't want to see that happen. What I want people to get is a solid foundation about how influence and psychology of a community work and do that. The cool thing is you can do that here comes the plug. If you go to tylerwilliams.net, that's my website, you'll find like my YouTubes and my socials there. And then if you're interested in what my agency does, it's called Mammoth Marketing. And you can find that at mammoth4plumbers.com. If you're not a plumber, I mean, you can lurk, but please don't contact me. I mean, you can ask me questions about marketing. I'll answer those all day, but like, we don't want to, like, we're only for plumbers.
Oh man. And you do have a book as well, right?
Oh gosh, do I?
Come on, man.
Honestly, though, so nobody has the ability to get this right now. I'm putting out a second edition, but basically it's bedtime stories for plumbers where a magical mammoth man shows up and fixes the marketing issue that the plumber is having. It is written within the tone, thank you AI, of Conan the Barbarian. So it has a very highly mythical quality and is written like a novel. Perfect for you to have a warm glass of milk and fall asleep to.
Oh man, I love it. I love it, dude. Oh man.
That's the best pitch I've ever given for this book too.
We gotta clip it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna turn that into an ad when I relaunch the book.
Yeah. Oh man, Tyler, we want to thank you again for coming on. Alex, do you have any last minute thoughts that you would like to say?
Just thanks for coming on, brother. We really appreciate it. Thanks for like sharing your knowledge with our trades community. Really admire like what you're doing out in the community and just being authentic. There's so many people that are just kind of full of shit. So it's nice to hear someone who's just real and about it and not over promising, under delivering. I think we need more of you out there.
You're too kind.
My final words of this. I think the part 2 has to happen in Alaska. I've always wanted to go to Alaska.
It's 20 below there right now. So, I'll be there in 2 weeks for Christmas.
Nope, I'm good. All right, I guess we'll do a part 2 just like this. But Tyler, my final words are thank you for coming on. You've been an absolute stud of a guest. You're bringing awareness for bald men. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm changing careers now.
But thank you for distilling your knowledge for our trades community. I think definitely a lot of our listeners are gonna really appreciate what you have and actually take some of your topics, some of your advice to their own real world businesses. So, with that being said, thank you, sir. Really appreciate it. Say keeping cool with the fucking fresh orange shades, you know. And this has been the Built to Rise podcast. I am Tiago. That's been Alex. This has been Tyler Williams. We'll see you guys next time.